7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on a tees with the streak for the cash. He ESPN. Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in. Pete Carroll, we see you.
Thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road, hosted by the league ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and it is my pleasure to be here today with my brothers. This is episode 33, second season of our show. And on today's show, we're going to check in on the first 4 teams that went over to the UK for the NFL International Series this season, see what's going on with them, give some updates and some feedback. We're also going to introduce a new segment on our show today, which I'm pretty excited about. Also, Mr. Ben McAdoo, you are our Brexit Bootbag winner, so we're going to deal with you. There was some fighting going on, and then we've got our Week 10 picks and fantasy recommendations. Let's get into the show. Brother Les, what you sipping on, sir?
Well, first, I'm drinking Hennessy Black. Gave it another try. And
shout out to Hennessy Black.
Shout out to Hennessy Black. But I'm sipping on Brent Grimes' wife, Miko Grimes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. This morning, she goes on a talk show, and she's talking about how the Raiders' offensive linemen intentionally let Derek Carr get hurt because he didn't want... The offensive line let him get hurt because Derek Carr did not want them to kneel or have any kind of protest against during the suit. Well, I'm tripping right now. Tennessee Black got me.
About to black out.
So
in all black.
And the thing about it is,
you already got that hypertension going.
The thing about it is, she didn't have any of the right. She was wrong all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
She said they had a meeting before the Monday night game. Raiders haven't played on Monday night. She said he got hurt against Denver. She said it was against Washington. So, Miko Grimes, you need to just shut up. You already cost your husband one job in Miami.
Oh.
If anybody watched, and this is a recurring thing for this show, if anybody watched Hard Knocks this season, you know that she is one who flew over the cuckoo's nest for sure. Redo, what you sipping on, baby?
Sipping on a little Tito's vodka and some Red Bull because I kind of need that Red Bull right now.
He got all types of barbiturates in this.
But what I want to do is I want to have a conversation. But what I really want to do is talk to one person, and I don't want to embarrass him, so I'm gonna talk to him on the side. So if y'all excuse me for a second, Anthony Joshua, if you can come here for a second. Let me tell you something. Hey, don't do it. Don't take the fight, because Deontay Wilder will fuck you up. And you will lose. Don't do it. That boy Deontay is a cold man. He is. If Anthony Joshua steps in the ring with him, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a serious problem.
You know, Omar got a 5-year-old.
And I believe him because he's a big Joshua fan.
I am, and Eddie Hearns need to be talking to him right now, telling him, "Listen, we need to figure out something else." Kev, what you sipping on?
Bomb Squad. Yo,
I wanted to yell it.
I am happy to announce that I'm gonna help you out here, Les. Give you some balance. Happy to announce that the Hennessy White has made it to the bye week. I hid it under the bar, so no one could drink it. So it's here. I'm gonna, drown my sorrows while the Ravens don't play this weekend. But I am sipping on the fact that I want to at least offer some condolences and some well wishes to Mr. Robert Williams, aka Meek Mill, who unfortunately got hit with that 2-4 this week. Y'all laughing. I'm really praying for the brother. I hope that he makes it through, keeps his head high, and somebody puts some money in his commissary.
Oh my!
It's a man who act like he wanted to go back to jail.
I thought he was going. I thought he was going the Roy Halladay route. Which, by the way, condolences to the family of former MLB pitcher, certain Hall of Famer Roy Halladay. And you went Meek Mill.
For the culture.
Never let him down.
All right.
He going back to back.
2-4. 2-4.
Wow.
Wow.
On the double up.
1191 with these teases. Speaking of double up, let's go 3-0 this week. It's all unders. It's all game lines. We're taking the unders in these 3 games. Move the game line 7 points. Seattle, Arizona Thursday night. Let's see. How can I say this? Drew Stanton is at quarterback for Arizona. He can't throw. Seattle's one-dimensional on offense. And the last time they played, I believe the score was a tie. So take the under, move the game line up to 48.5 and take the under. Green Bay, Chicago.
Let's go.
We've got Brett Hundley, and hopefully you watched Monday Night Football last night and you see...
He might not make the end of the game.
And you know what? The thing is, he wasn't too bad, but just the offense is different. Brian Bulaga's out with a torn ACL. Chicago's defense is legit, but they also start Mitch Trubisky, and they don't have any receivers. So take the under in that one at 45. And then finally, the New York Giants, the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, but the line is 42. Tease that up to 49. And please take the under. Put $100 down. Thank the league ambassadors. Dad.
You can do the under on 20 with the Bears.
What you sipping on?
Well, I was going to be sipping on some Uncle Jamie, but unfortunately Kenyon drank all of that shit at my house on Sunday. So what I'm sipping on here is, shout out to 7-Eleven, some a vodka concoction with some nice juice. But what I want to talk about is the big case that's going on right now with our brother Colin Kaepernick. So just to give you some background, I'm going to lay down some background, and I'm going to ask the fellas some questions so we can discuss it. So back in October, Colin Kaepernick filed a grievance against the NFL stating that there's collusion. So for those who don't know what collusion means, as defined by Webster's Dictionary, it is a secret agreement or cooperation, especially for an illegal or deceitful purpose. So Colin's stating that the NFL's officials, owners, coaches, and the like have conspired together to make sure he does not sign a contract in the league. So Colin's lawyer, Mark Geragos, did I say that right? Mm-hmm. Said a few weeks back that he had a smoking gun and kind of just left it at that. Didn't really go into much detail about that. And then about a week ago, he said that Cap would have a job within 10 days. So what's happened since then is the commissioner, Roger Goodell, several owners, Bob Kraft, Jerry Jones, our bootbag from last week, Cheddar Bob McNair, Paul Allen, Pete Carroll, have all been deposed, and potentially Steve Biscotti might be because he actually had communication with Colin Kaepernick. And they're saying that anyone that took a stance about the protests or communicated with Colin could be deposed or subpoenaed. So he also deposed Troy Vincent, Arthur McAfee, who are executives within the NFL. So emails, telephone records, text messages have all been subpoenaed from these people. So the question that I want to ask my compadres here, it's 3 questions. Where do we go from here? Meaning the effect that this ruling may have, or how this will affect the NFL moving forward, specifically with other players, might, how they think about going about this if they end up in a similar situation, or how owners react, or how they can protect themselves. Number 2, is Colin's lawyer bluffing? And number 3, can he win? So I would like to open up to the floor to discuss this topic.
Well, which one first?
I think
you can go either way.
I mean, I
Mike.
think we go in reverse. It's a difficult. Can he win? I think it's going to be a difficult, in my opinion, a difficult sort of thing to prove because you have to believe that the owners wouldn't be stupid enough to have any sort of trails.
Well, here's the thing, though. If I'm not mistaken, he does not have to prove that all the owners were colluding. Does not have to prove that, which makes it a whole lot easier. All he has to be able to prove is that there was some general collusion, and that other teams were following suit. It doesn't even have to be like prove that they were all literally colluding. So that makes his case a whole lot easier to prove.
But like Kenyon said, do you think they would be stupid enough to have it in emails and text like, let's not sign
I mean, let's not pretend like
that's-
some of these people are geniuses. Half these fools are fifth and sixth generation money.
Right. One of them is an actual genius, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, Mr. Allen.
But I'm saying like some of these people aren't they have smart people. They hire smart people,
I wonder what else will be on their emails and text.
which is the most scariest
Yeah.
part. Which is what because as soon as it was announced that those things could come up, all of a sudden Houston was like, no, we're gonna take a look at them.
And they signed Josh Johnson today, even with that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. To quote the great Denzel Washington, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And unfortunately, we do know that it's obvious he's been colluded against. Kenyon mentioned Josh Johnson, but you had T.J. Yates, Ryan Fitzpatrick, David Fales, Brian Hoyer, Brandon Whedon, Brock fucking Osweiler, Kellen Clemens, Jay Cutler, both McCowns. I don't know if they're twins or if they're just the same person moving back and forth really quickly. Austin, I mean, all of these guys have gotten jobs instead of Colin Kaepernick. But the unfortunate thing is, like you said, how do you prove that? If you don't have documentation, no obvious proof. The only thing I could hope for is that these are 60, 70-year-old white dudes who are not technologically savvy, and all we need is one of them to fuck up.
Well, one of them.
The evidence is there.
That's why I posed the question: is his lawyer bluffing? Because he made those statements within about 2 weeks of one another. So why do you come out and say that? Like, are you posturing? Are you trying to get a contract? Are you trying to take a cop a plea basically and say, show your hand to get something, or do you really have something?
If they were bluffing, they called it. If he was bluffing, they called it.
Yeah. And that it's funny that you asked that because that thought crossed my mind. I mean, Geragos, he's represented. He's a high profile attorney. He's represented Michael Jackson. He's represented Chris Brown. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that he could just be bluffing. But the question that is most interesting to me is where do we go from here? Because if there is determined to be some form of collusion, that is huge. And you talk about death nails. If you need 4 nails to close a coffin, that equates to about 2 of them right there. So it's an interesting thing. I ultimately think it's a much ado about nothing. But when you have when you have Bill O'Brien coming out yesterday and he was complimentary of Kaepernick, but then he said, but he hasn't played football in a while. And it's like, well, he played last season.
Yeah, and he started games.
And he started games. Like those sorts of statements, they go to they
like
lend
PR.
credence. Well, it leads credence to this idea.
Signed, though.
Exactly. And then they signed Josh Johnson, a guy who backed up Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco.
Kev?
Well, one thing I kind of remember was maybe it was his agent who said a couple weeks ago that he thought Cap would get signed within like the next 10 days. And
It was his lawyer.
His lawyer, okay. And that turned out to not be true. But I don't think, strategy-wise, if you're bluffing and then the NFL calls you to say, hey, come on in and meet with Roger Goodell one-on-one, and you don't answer, I feel like if you were bluffing, that's a perfect time to, like you said, cop a plea. But if he decided not to show up, he's not going to attend that, I think he may know something or have something up his sleeve, and he better if this is the move that he's going to make.
I definitely agree with that. When you have owners like Jerry Jones who tend to have that hand, foot, mouth disease where they put their foot in their mouth, this is and he's one of those people that might step out in front of that bullet and actually fuck up. I mean, we don't know. Like you said, they have people that talk for them, but he's very powerful. He's rich. He's never lost.
Or there's somebody on the inside with knowledge, direct knowledge, who has flipped.
A turncoat, yep, and that that's appropriate.
It
I was
watching
watching the Black Panthers documentary yesterday, and that's how the FBI infiltrated us.
Right.
And broke down the Panthers was because they turned somebody. So that could be.
But they also subpoenaed it and deposed Troy Vincent, who was in that room at that meeting that we talked about a couple shows ago. So
who's probably been in a lot of rooms.
Who's been in a lot of rooms, but he's also probably because he was the one that spoke with McNair, right? Didn't they
Bob
have
McNair, yes.
Yeah. So maybe there was a text sent, maybe there's communication. I don't know. I mean, like you said a couple weeks ago, to be a fly on the wall in that room, like.
I think that approach could also apply, not to, of course, get too personal, but you think about what happened with Ray Rice. Like, it was clear that the NFL, granted, he didn't, I can't say he deserved to come back, but we can't deny it wasn't a group effort that the NFL was like, okay, we have to stay away from this because of the impact it'll have on the league as a whole. So when you mention where do we go from here, if you look at how they're treating Kaepernick, if another situation comes up where there's a player who has whatever discretion's going on, and the NFL decides, okay, he's bad for business, but legally he didn't break the law, didn't, like Kaepernick, didn't do anything to put, his individual brand in danger. How would the NFL go about keeping those guys out, knowing that they should be on the field? Fans want to see them on the field, but it hurts their bottom line. So
It remains to be seen. I mean, and even within that, there are arguments there because you just said fans want to see him. There are probably just as many fans that don't want to see him, which they would argue is the reason why they haven't decided to bring them in. It's a very interesting case, and I'm sure that there are a ton of students right now that are in law school that are watching this very closely, as we all are. Let's get to our Brexit Bootbag winner, Chef Curry. I will throw it to you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be doing this again. Because I'll just get into it. Okay, so last weekend, the New York Football Giants played against the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams came into New York, New Jersey, and destroyed them 51-17. So Coach Ben McAdoo, Giants coach Ben McAdoo, was asked what was his halftime message to the team. Mind you, at halftime they were only down 27 to 10, I think. Mm-hmm. So the reporter asked him, and McAdoo's response was the equivalent to Tina from Bob's Burgers, who, Devin, could you please replicate that for me one more time? No, literally, people, that is how Ben McAdoo responded to his halftime speech to his team, whose season has just been falling apart. He literally had no answer. And you see a guy whose team is completely out of it. They're going to end up competing for a top 3 draft pick. The fan base has abandoned him. There's a mutiny in the team, and he literally cannot complete his job anymore. And when you get to a point where that's your response to how do you get your team ready to come back out, Ben McAdoo, sir, you deserve our Brexit Bootbag Award for this week.
Hey, Kev.
You terrible human being.
Kev, my teen impersonation was way more than he actually said.
It was, actually.
Because he just threw his hands up.
But here's my question, though. Seriously. And this was my second thought, because my first thought was, wow, that's crazy.
We were together.
My first thought was, wow, that was crazy. But then secondly, I thought, what is he supposed to say? Like, am I really going to divulge? Like, what if he had, what if his halftime speech was talking about strategy? Is he about to sit there and then recreate that then?
No, it's coach talk, though. It's coach speak.
What strategy, though? Throw it to who? Who?
No, but I understand that. But my point is I feel like that's almost like a no-win question.
Well, no, that's the reporter's job to ask questions.
Yeah.
His job is to not look like a jack off and like he getting paid not to coach, like he doesn't know what he's doing. He could have said 2 words. He could have said anything and not came off as bad as he did. He looked like someone who did not deserve to be the head coach of the New York Football
He's
Giants.
in charge of men. We all watch Glengarry Glen Ross. that scene with Al Pacino when he's shitting on Kevin Spacey. Rest in peace, Kevin Spacey, by the way.
Rest in peace, his career.
Who allowed
nails you was talking
Who
about.
allowed you to be in charge of men? And I can't say the rest of what he said. And we say a lot on here, but I can't say all that he said. That shows you how hard he went.
Yeah. All right. So what we want to do, what we decided to do for today's show, where do we go from here, is look at first, and this will be done in two parts. It's been 5 or 6 games since the first group of teams went over and crossed the pond and showcased themselves in front of the UK fans, the Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, New Orleans Saints. And so each of the ambassadors here, they have a specific team. First, we'll look at the Baltimore Ravens, who lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a lot to a little.
We were there.
And since that point, they've gone 2-4. We got 4 questions we want to answer. First of all, what's gone right since London's happened? What's gone wrong? Should they be invited back? And then finally, what do you see as being the prospects for these teams for the rest of the season? Junior Blue, we will start with you. You have the Baltimore Ravens. 2-4.
Right.
What's gone right?
Be gentle, Les.
Hey, I'm gonna be as gentle as I can.
Because one of those two is...
Hey, no, hey, I'll bring it up.
But let's
I'll
talk
bring it
about
up.
that other loss.
So, caught 5 seconds of drinking Hennessy. So
We're gonna be gentle though.
okay, the 2 things that went right for the Baltimore Ravens is 1, EJ Manuel, and 2, Matt Moore, because they've gone 2-4 and they beat 2 backups they beat the Oakland Raiders, and I don't know what exactly they did to Miami, but damn, 40-0. So those are the 2 things that's really gone right. Outside of that,
So
nothing.
let's get to it. What's gone wrong?
What's gone wrong? The 4 losses to their rival, the Steelers, the Bears,
Bear down.
the Titans, and the Vikings. They've struggled. Joe Flacco is averaging 191 yards a game. He's throwing less than 1 touchdown a game.
Elite.
Since London, they've had injuries that have caused a bad play. But, I mean, they really got to get more from their $24 million man.
Uh-oh. Should they be invited back to London? This is what all of the fans in the UK want to know.
I got a question for y'all.
Uh-oh.
If you invite somebody to a party and they RSVP that they coming, and then they don't show up, do you invite them to another party?
Fuck no.
So nah, they shouldn't come back.
Hey, I am with you. You don't never want to go back.
I don't think John Harbaugh wants to go back either.
Nah, he's blatantly said he doesn't want to
he
go back.
said he does not want to go back. It's funny though because I mean,
Les, you stole my thunder.
I feel like from us being over there, and we saw 2 teams. We're going to see 4 teams next year. But when you compare Baltimore to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is
it's not
supposed to be
close.
technically the home team for London. Baltimore that was a great time.
They showed out. The Ravens flock showed out.
But if you're talking about the on the field product,
No, we didn't leave BWI. It's okay.
rest of the season prospects, what do they look like?
They have 7 games left. And you know what 4 of them have in common? Let me see if y'all can guess. Green Bay, Houston, Cleveland.
Backup
and
quarterbacks.
Bad quarterbacks.
Backup quarterbacks.
Bad backup quarterbacks.
It hasn't mattered.
Hey, and at this point, so I feel like they'll probably go 8-8. They'll finish
Again,
at
Les?
8-8.
Hey, that is his number for y'all.
Hey, 8-8. It was right last year, and it's looking like it's gonna be right this year.
Really? Green Bay, Houston, Indianapolis, and Cleveland. Yeah.
Whoever Cleveland starts as a backup.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Dad, who the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let's first start off with fuck you. You know what it is.
They've gone 3-2 since London. What's going right?
Well, first and foremost, I think that what's most important is Blake Bortles has not shit the bed.
Yeah.
And he hasn't gotten in the way.
Yeah.
Right now, they are +7 in the turnover ratio. So
He's still their quarterback, though.
he's still their quarterback, but he's not getting in the way. He's 10 touchdowns, 5 picks, I believe, and maybe like a fumble or 2, something like that. Their pass defense is amazing.
Yeah.
That's what's gone right. They have 35 sacks and they've only given up 11 sacks.
Yeah.
which leads to the fact that they're protecting Bortles so he doesn't make more bad decisions and turn the ball over.
Yeah.
And the defense has only given up 12 touchdowns this entire year.
Number 2 overall defense in the league right now.
What's going wrong?
So they lost to a scrappy Jets team on the road after they came back from London.
Right.
Nobody expected the Jets to be doing what they're doing, but they are scrappy. And it was a road game. And then they lost to one of the best teams in the league, which is the Rams, since they've come back. So as far as what they've done wrong,
That shit felt wrong to even say. Like, you look around like, I'm about to say this out loud.
right, it's still registering with some of y'all like the best team. Like, oh shit,
Is Marshall Faulk and Kurt
right.
Warner there?
But those are the two teams that they've lost to since.
Mm-hmm.
So you can almost excuse a road loss to a team that you expect to beat that's scrappy,
Right.
and then one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing that's gone wrong for them because they're playing over their skis right now from what we predicted earlier this season.
Right. Should they be invited back?
Well, they don't have a fucking choice because the NFL signed an agreement to have teams through 2025, whether it's in Wembley, Twickenham, or whatever stadiums they're building.
The new Tottenham Stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have signed on to play a home game once a year, every year, through that contract. Yeah.
And so, what do you see as being their rest of season prospects now?
What's their record right now?
Well, this past Sunday, right, along the lines of can you stand prosperity? Leonard Fournette, just out the blue, you know, everybody's locking in their fantasy lineups, and then all of a sudden, oops,
But what they do though?
they won.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So what's their record right now? Total record?
5-3.
they're 5-3.
5-3. Okay.
Tied with the Titans.
So Chargers, Browns, Cardinals, Indy, Seahawks, Texans, Niners, and Titans to end the season.
They can easily go 11-5.
They can make the playoffs.
Fuck out of here.
Matter of fact, if
They're gonna win the division.
If they split one of those 2 games with the Seahawks and Titans, they can go 12-4.
Well, they have to beat the Titans because they did lose to them
Okay.
earlier this year.
So they've got to get the revenge there.
But Browns, Cardinals, Indy, that's in a row.
Browns, Cardinals,
Chargers.
Indy.
Chargers first. But after that, Chargers, Chargers
That's
one of
this
those
week.
teams-
Chargers, yeah, they
it's
play
hard to
well on the
gauge.
East Coast. It's hard to gauge. They could win. They could lose.
Yeah.
They're coming off of a bye.
Browns, Cardinals, Indy.
Browns, Cardinals, Indy. That's 3 wins. That take them to 8 wins.
And what Kevin say?
Wow.
6?
Red
In
O.
there, baby.
Red O. The Miami Dolphins.
Somehow.
Also, since London, have gone 3-2. They went over to London, played the New Orleans Saints. They, like the Baltimore Ravens, didn't show up.
We scored though.
But they've gone 3-2 since then.
Oh, Kevin, it's going to be okay.
What's gone right for them, Omar, since they've been back?
There's less drugs in Miami.
Oh, my God.
Well, the O-line coach did have to resign, or they announced his resignation.
That's white privilege.
Yeah, but that's also what's going wrong in Miami.
Snow white privilege.
Truthfully, the both questions, what's going right, what's going wrong, it's almost like 50-50 split because some things we just don't know yet. They traded their starting running back.
Jay Ajayi.
But Adam Gase says it's addition by subtraction, and he thinks the running game is going to be better without him. With a 2-headed back now.
Tell Philly that.
Right. But in proof is in the pudding. The yards per carry was 5.8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damian Williams, Kenyon Drake, he said that his big issue with Ajayi was that he was always trying to go for the big run instead of keeping the offense on schedule, taking the 2-yard, the 3-yard.
Was the
Just
Raiders
the
defense.
game plan.
It was. That's what I was actually going to bring up. I was going to bring it up myself.
They are 3-2 since London.
Yep.
Sue is having his best year as a Dolphin. Maybe not best career year, but best year as a Dolphin.
He's behaving himself.
Yes.
Is he?
Relatively
Is he?
speaking.
Because I
Brian
pretty
Mallett
much
out on national television.
But also, it's, they are king parody. They 4-4.
Yeah.
You know, like some games they look great. Some games it's like okay, but then again, you know, like their last game, Jay Cutler outplayed Derek Carr. He threw 300 some yards and 3 touchdowns.
He still looked indifferent as a motherfucker.
He was born indifferent.
Should they be invited back?
That's where the questions come in because it's like you still don't know what this team is.
Yeah.
You know, they fought hard against the Raiders, but the Raiders aren't who we thought they were. And the week before, they just didn't show up. They looked like a team that wasn't coached when the Ravens destroyed them. They were undisciplined. They looked like they didn't want to be there. So it's like it is really King parody. You don't know who they are. Like
They are missing their starting quarterback, to be fair, Ryan Tannehill.
Exactly.
And who was building something last year, certainly.
But again, we still don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You know, I would like to see Adam Gase with Tannehill because I think he's a good coach, but still, what's going on? We don't know. I think there needs to be a culture change on some of these players who don't show up every week.
I wish we had some of their receivers.
Prospects for the rest of the season.
Amen, brother. Dim as a motherfucker. They had who did they play? They played the Patriots twice.
Oh.
They played Buffalo twice.
Oh.
Did they play any games?
Kansas City
Uh-huh.
and Denver. Then they have the Panthers and the Bucks.
I smell 3 wins out of that.
Maybe.
7 and 9.
You know what I mean?
So in
Like,
other words, you're telling me this is the height of it for them right
yes. If anything,
They were not a 4-2 team before they played us.
I think at 4-4, they have a highly successful rest of the season if they make it to 8-8. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Curry, New Orleans Saints, 3-2 since visiting the UK. What's going right for them, sir?
Are they 3-2 since then? I don't
Yeah.
think they lost since then.
No.
The Saints?
Yeah.
They beat the Lions, they beat the Packers, they beat the Bears, they beat the Bucks.
Yeah.
Unless I'm drinking.
Well-
Well, Hennessy White. So
No.
we'll get into it.
Go with it.
Okay. But what's gone right? Their defense, of course, which to me is probably the most surprising side of the football for any team in the league. There's no way in the world anyone predicted that defense would not be losing them games. Of course, we saw they blew out, shut out Miami in London, and since then they've been rolling.
You're absolutely right. Literally, they have been rolling. They haven't lost since London. They're definitely 4-0.
I also don't agree with y'all with that defense.
What's gone wrong? Well, go, Kev. Respond to that.
Well, no, I don't think they're great. But again, we thought Drew Brees could score 99 points. We knew that defense was going to give up 100. And I think the difference in that 6-game winning streak, they've only given up
98.
average 15 points a game.
I mean, they played the Bears, who only average 6 points a game.
Hey, a win is a win in this league. So,
That is true.
You don't apologize for getting that dub, especially in that division.
What's gone wrong, Kev?
Since London, only that Willie Snead is a non-factor,
Oh my God.
but they got receivers buried under the Superdome. They just plug and play. So his lack of production isn't hurting them because they've been winning.
Should they be invited back?
As long as Drew Brees is at quarterback, yeah, they should definitely come. Like Les said, if you show up to that party, you out there twerking, baby. Keep coming.
Party going.
All right. And what do you see as their prospects for the rest of the season?
It's about to get real for the New Orleans Saints. And I think we're really going to find out how good they are because next week they go to Buffalo. Which,
Right.
Despite what happened on Thursday night, that's a tough team to beat on their home field. Then 2 weeks later, they go to L.A. to play the Rams. Then they play Carolina. And then 2 of their last 4 games are against the Falcons. So I think, honestly, we'll know about them December 3rd. If they can win at home against Carolina, I think they win that division.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
So we want to introduce a brand new segment here. And this is called They Get Paid to Be Right, But They Wrong.
Run it back, selector.
So with this segment, what we want to show this season is where we call out pundits, prognosticators, and analysts who get paid to tell us their gospel as it pertains to the NFL. but it appears they don't always know what the hell they're talking about. So what we want to bring to this segment here is just some clarity. And what I want to do is I want to pass it to Pastor Reverend Kenny Ken to rebuke these statements.
Amen. Brother.
What?
He wasn't expecting that intro.
I was not. Well, I just want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles here. Everyone, NFL.com, ESPN artists. Yes, run that graphic, Rena. Yeah, see that? Why your team sucks. Now, to be fair, the Philadelphia Eagles do not suck. They are 8-1. They are a good team. But let's do a real quick deep dive here. Their strength of schedule to date is 31st out of 32 teams in the league. For the rest of the season, it goes up slightly to 21st. Quite simply, they've beaten the teams that they're supposed to beat. The collective record of the teams that they've played thus far is 16-33. Their biggest win was a short week win on the road at a Carolina team that's not really that good. They have a 3-point win on the Giants. They got a 2-point win over the Chargers, and then they have that 5-point win in Carolina. So what that screams is a regression to the mean is on the way. And why is a regression to the mean on the way? They're 25th in pass defense. Okay? They're 32nd in defensive completions. You can pass the ball on Philadelphia. Okay? They have a glaring weakness. You look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's top 5 in the league on offense and defense. Not only that, Carson Wentz is playing phenomenal football. Not unlike another quarterback in Kansas City, Alex Smith, who was playing phenomenal football at the beginning of the season. And where's Kansas City now? They've lost 4 in a row. Carson Wentz is in his second year, okay? When we get to the playoffs, and let's say for argument's sake, they're a playoff-bound team. No doubt they're going to go to the playoffs, okay? If the playoffs were today, 5 of the 6 teams that are in the playoffs are top 15 in passing. So their glaring weakness on defense is bound to be exploited in the playoffs. And it says here that they will be one and done. Not only that, there are a lot of formulas to win in the NFL. One very proven formula, though, is if you have a quarterback that is in his first or second year, the only way you're going to have success in the playoffs is if you have a top 10 defense, which Philadelphia does not have. You look at Ben Roethlisberger when he won a Super Bowl, that Pittsburgh Steelers defense was second. You look at the Patriots when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, that New England defense was 6th in the league. You look at Russell Wilson when he won a Super Bowl in his second year, that was the number 1 defense in the league. Philadelphia's defense is not elite. So it says here, folks, the Philadelphia Eagles, a great team, they are ascending, but they are not the best team in football.
Kenyon, what do we decide was the most important word in the English language? Relative. Relative. After 31 teams in the league, Philly is getting it done. I wish the Ravens would beat the teams they were supposed to beat. Philly's doing it. We got to give them credit.
We give them credit, but I think Pittsburgh's a better team than them.
Who's better in the NFC?
Who's better than them in the NFC? I think that the New Orleans Saints are better than them in the NFC, quite frankly. I think if you put them on a neutral field, the Saints, as they are right now, are in position to exploit Philadelphia. Absolutely.
I can't agree with you. One, it's the NFL, and we've seen a bunch of parity with the bad play, and they've been able to take advantage of it. And you can only play the teams that are in front of you. Those stats, I get it. But they're the only team that has 1 loss right now. So let's talk in a couple weeks and see what happens.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though, right? Is and we're all hardcore fans. So whenever we talk about who, the media, right, is quick to is looking at teams that are the best as far as basically the record, and there is a recency here. But as hardcore fans, we have the ability, because we know the game, to be able to project and understand. And they have a glaring weakness on the defense. And Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, for that matter, have never played in important games. And we have seen consistently that shows up. So, and again, I think that there are 2 or 3 teams that they are a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles, for sure.
Well, now let's hope that after week 1 in the playoffs, Mr. Kenyon Aikes can come back on here and for league ambassador's sake say they get paid to be wrong, but we were right.
I'm thinking they're gonna have the bye, but yeah, we need that confirmation.
Yeah, I think it would absolutely be confirmed. That's the point of this segment, guys.
That's that gambler.
That's a good point. Research, Ken.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's get to our football tea hot topics. We'll start off with Mr. Jameis Winston.
Jameis.
I'm sorry.
No. First, you got to put the West Side up, Dad. Rena.
Oh, you got to eat the W. What's that?
You got that. You taste that.
The fuck was that?
You got
He
Jameis
didn't take
Winston.
his medication.
Did you see the team? Look at him.
Did you see the double jointed fake?
That's why they got blasted.
And then we got Mike Evans. He lost his mind. Tampa Bay has the worst defense in football. They're 2-6. They're shutting Jameis down for 2 weeks here. The question I got for you guys, though, is this the Hard Knocks curse rearing its ugly head again?
Hey, man, I've seen it firsthand. We won the Super Bowl in 2000. We were the very first team to go on Hard Knocks 2001. And what did we decide to do? Oh, let's kick the quarterback out that won the Super Bowl and bring in Elvis Gerback. And do you know what this motherfucker said on Hard Knocks the first time he met them? Mm-hmm. I'm here to make y'all better. Bitch, we just won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Ken?
You didn't know that?
Mm-mm. I think it's a great story. I think we talked about what happened to his nephew on this platform. But no, I think it's more
Literally.
of them shrinking under the pressure from Hard Knocks. And it can't be anything more than that. They're the second most disappointing NFC South team to have all of that talent on the field, and they can't get anything out of it. This was supposed to be it. That Jameis Winston took that step. A lot of guys were giving him MVP nods heading into the season, and they just haven't been able to live up to the hype.
And also, the Rams last year, it's not the team's fault. It's the coach's fault who went on TV and said nothing less than the Super Bowl. Like, we got to win. Or did he say playoffs? He went in there
He said 7-9. That's what he said.
Nah, he went in there and proclaimed that they were going to be one of the best teams in the league. And he was smoking weed.
I can't believe Jameis took a step back like that, though. They added so much talent around him.
Has he taken a step
Has he taken a step
I
back?
think he
though?
Or he
took
just
a
hasn't,
step.
he hasn't
Yeah.
taken
I mean,
a step.
you
He hasn't
think-
taken a step forward.
I don't know.
He's standing in place.
I think he took a step forward last year.
He
and took a
couldn't
step
throw
back.
He
with
couldn't throw
Tuchel.
accurate deep balls last year.
Well,
And he turned the ball over a lot last year as well.
No, he definitely looks different
Yeah.
this year, though, than he did last year. He still
with
looks
more talent around him.
They switched.
He
up his
lost weight.
They switched up his medication. No, it's different
With more
medication. They
talent.
trying a different medication to see if it'll help, and it ain't helping.
Okay, guys, I got a question for you. Does anybody have the address to the high road?
I did not.
Because Dion couldn't find it.
At all.
Have we ever found that motherfucker here? That is like prerequisite for being a league ambassador.
Tony Romo, Deion Sanders. This is a hot topic just because, one, it's funny as hell. That was a great line, Mr. Sanders. But Tony Romo, and I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme for Mr. Romo, and I think and it's not anything new necessarily, but it is a challenge you have to navigate, which is you're a former player. And you're now in a position to have a commentator, and you're giving feedback, and it makes you
You're a target. I got a Go jacket I didn't buy.
I got a Go jacket. I
Dak
didn't see.
says hi. And bye. But my thing is this.
He was well prepared.
He was well prepared.
He wrote them bars down.
He got Ghost Riders.
What are we talking about?
So my thing is this. So we know that players have a certain code, right? It's an unwritten rule. And they both play for that same organization. Something has had to go down
No, they
between
got
them
beef.
before.
That's not the first time.
Yeah.
That's why he was like, he thought he was being slick on TV, and
Deion said, "Nah,
Nah,
I got
son.
time for you, baby.
hey, it's all
I
right.
got prime time.
I got prime time for you."
He was a part of the Woodcock conversation.
Man.
But you know what? I think part of it is because there's some personal things there. But Tony Romo is good at what he does, though, man.
He's very good.
He's very good.
But
Just
Deion
stop
said that,
talking
though.
about Deion. Hey, that man name out your mouth.
And Rodney Harrison said something about Deion, and Deion pulled him up on it too.
Some people who just need to stay off 8 Mile Road. Like you need to stay off.
I got a question for you guys. Listen, the Denver Broncos. It was just a week ago.
It was all good a week ago.
It was all good a week ago, right? Defense was rolling. Von Miller MVP. The no fly zone, right? No fly zone.
That's dead.
Right? You know, they had running backs. They still got the receivers. Emmanuel Sanders, low key, is one of my favorite fantasy receivers.
Is he back?
He's supposed to be back this week.
He was asleep.
The question I got for you though is, you know, last year after they won the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning retired, went out on the high horse, and John Elway said, "Nope, Trevor Simeon's my guy."
Run it back.
Went and got Paxton Lynch, which, you know, everybody's like, okay, that's cool. Trevor Simeon played last year, didn't do too good. Okay? Come back this year. Nope. Trevor Simeon, Paxton Lynch, we're going to figure it out.
Really?
Trevor Simeon beat out Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch then went and got hurt. The last 2 years, though, they've sucked. Question I got, is Elway in the way in Denver? Is he the problem?
I personally think he's playing it perfectly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about?
Oh, never mind.
I had him for about 30 seconds.
Really? Relax. Pray tell.
You fucking Raider fan. Why do you think that?
I think it's on some personal selfish shit, to be honest.
That's what it feels like.
Because
break it down, Dev.
with the exception of bringing an old, done Peyton Manning over,
Right.
what move has he made to show that there's any progress with that position?
Correct.
Absolutely zero. And let's be honest, y'all. After Peyton Manning had that record-breaking season, when they got trounced in the Super Bowl, and remember the year before that they had a record-breaking season, and they lost to us with the 70-yard bomb. After that, what has he done? He hasn't made any moves. And I heard something very interesting today on Dan Patrick. Shout out to Dan Patrick. But why not make the same move you already made and go get Eli? Eli's younger than Peyton was. Because Bob McAdoo, man, blow that shit up. That shit.
Sorry, Bob McAdoo, the NBA
Ben,
Hall of Fame.
sorry, Ben.
We mean Ben the bus.
Ben Mac. Yeah,
Ben the rat.
Hey, both brothers want to say Bob.
I'm sorry, Bob. You can hoop. Ben can't. I apologize.
Kev?
Hey, if Elway don't pull a trigger, Tom Coughlin will do it first. But I do think, coupled with what Devin said, I think they did get unlucky with Paxton Lynch getting hurt in week 3 of the preseason because, again, we spoke about it on this platform. My approach would have been make it Trevor Simeon's job to lose, which he did a long time ago.
Right. And then you doubled down and got Brock Osweiler.
And went back and got the $72 million mistake.
Well, that was desperation.
I agree. It was completely out of desperation because
thief.
Paxton Lynch got hurt. I thought I don't want to say he played it perfect like Les was jokingly alluding to, but I think he played his cards, put Trevor out there when he loses his job, because he will. Paxton will step in and he'll either grow into it, kind of like how Carson Wentz is, but he got hurt, so now he's kind of stuck between a rock and $72 million. And
the problem is he's wasting the prime time
That defense.
of that defense
Yes.
and some of these receivers.
And
like
they
he's
are
wasting it.
And they are quitting.
Yeah.
Well, all they needed was a quarterback.
Well, listen here, and that what you just said, Devin, is key because the same things happen in New York Giants. You know, there's a slippery slope that you ride here when you say, hey, we got an elite defense. We don't need much from our offense, because if that offense goes south for whatever reason,
Hey, brother, you
that
talking to the
defense
right
is going
motherfucker
to
right here.
quit on you. It's a slippery slope. You can't shirk your responsibility on one side of the football just because you have an elite. You know, you're elite on the other side.
He's the one that you would think
would know that.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah, but it's not like their offense is necessarily juggernauts, around him. I haven't seen no jabs, Les, but outside of Amari Cooper, no one drops more passes than the Denver Broncos. They don't block that for their quarterback, and they commit so many penalties that even if he were to make a good play, whoever's playing quarterback, they take a step forward and take 3 back. So he's a big part of the problem, but the surrounding pieces around him aren't helping either.
Somehow I still
Was
think
that
that
Amari
was a
Cooper
jab.
Yes. Hey, but honestly, I'm with you though. He dropped way too many. God.
Hey, he's on my fantasy fucking.
Hey.
Staying with quarterbacks, and I think this is more because we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is more of just a shout out and really tough to hear. But Deshaun Watson went out with a torn ACL. They're saying that he actually originally hurt it in that great Seattle football game, but then if it was hanging by a thread, the thread completely snapped at practice last week.
Which fucked all of our fantasy picks up.
For real.
Yeah, it did.
Last Tuesday.
It sure as hell did, man.
And the question I was going to ask you guys before today's recent development was, should the Texans call Kaepernick, which obviously the answer is yes, but instead of calling Kaepernick, they called Josh Johnson. So, which is funny because are you just now punting on the season? You're like J.J. Watt's hurt, Whitney Merciless is hurt?
Cheddar Bob. What? How will it look after last week, knowing that he's been deposed and his shit's been subpoenaed? Colin Kaepernick, can you please come to the office? Are you serious?
But you've got a season. You got a season where you've got.
He's thinking about legal shit. He's already making money. He's trying to save face. He can't have a stance and then shuck and jive on it. They don't do that. We do that. They don't.
Oh my God.
I'm speaking real, baby.
Moving right along.
I think. I think
Look, my eyes got big.
Yeah, like
fuck, he right.
Ken, did they specify when he got hurt? Because I was watching Turning Point, and they had a snapshot behind the sideline where Tom Savage asked Watson. He said, "How the hell did you make that play on the goal line where he spun?" He said, "Dude, my body could never torque like that." And I'm like, "Damn, he probably popped his ACL trying to make that play."
They said Frank Clark. It was a sack in I believe the third quarter. Frank Clark
played another quarter.
and he played another quarter.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Finally, here's a name we haven't uttered in a while. Mr. Josh Gordon.
I have.
He's like Freddie or Freddie Cougar.
Yeah.
He just keeps coming back, and apparently, and to piggyback off of what you just said, Mr. Hugh Jackson, who when Josh Gordon got busted down last year said, "We're done with him. We're not crossing that bridge," is now said, if Josh Gordon is going to play in the NFL, he's going to have to do it here in Cleveland. Okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about, rewind it about 2 minutes ago. So the question I got for you guys is that the right move for Cleveland? Or should they just cut their losses and let Josh Gordon go?
Let him go. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I actually think they should let him play and then trade him, because his value can't be any lower than right now. Let him play, see if he balls out. If he does, then you trade him.
Fuck, they
Off-season trade.
got enough picks. They need talent.
So keep him?
Yeah, I mean what? They need 20 more picks is what they ain't doing nothing with the picks they got.
Cleveland drive him to drink and drive.
And he literally said that in that I don't know if you guys read that GQ interview. He said literally, he was like, I had to move away from Cleveland. He said because they was throwing drinks at me in the grocery store. They would follow me. They'd stare at me. Like it depressed him.
He said he played every game inebriated.
Loaded.
And
every
he was
game.
Killing.
I mean, he's blaming it on them, but every
No,
other
he
player-
wasn't blaming on him because he said he blamed it on he got started early. He said he got started in middle school.
Right. My only thing is that, like you said, what could they get for him now? Nothing. So let him play, and then if he works out and you're really truly trying to rebuild, and depending on which black they let go in the front office,
Yeah. Oh God.
how you come on, we already talked.
Hey, Dev, Hugh gonna have to do that shuck and jive Bugs Bunny dance to get it. But I think it's in. I'm thinking about Gordon here. It's in his best interest. I completely agree with Les. Play this out and start fresh somewhere else when the season's over.
What's interesting about you guys talking about making a trade is, and I think I was having a conversation with you, Dev. If you really think, there aren't many legit number one wide receivers in football.
You were definitely having that conversation with me.
Yeah, I mean, put aside the fact that there are teams that just flat out don't have any receivers.
Yeah,
we got two sitting at the table
right here.
But like a legit,
Amari Cooper.
but a legit number one receiver actually does have value in the NFL. So it's an interesting sort of thing. Let's get on to our segment that we introduced last week. We've got a new winner for Get the Fuck Out of Here with That Bullshit. Red O, who's our nominee?
We got 2 nominees.
We got 2 nominees.
You know, it's,
Only 2?
It's 2. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when you see something or you hear something, you automatically know, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And just to describe what happened, it was towards the end of a play. Wide receiver AJ Green was, you can tell his assignment was to block a cornerback. You know, he wasn't catching the ball, but the play ended, and as he's running up to Jalen Ramsey, he puts a hand on his shoulder like he was going to do something, but he didn't really do. Basically, touched his shoulder. So Mr. Sassy Voice took offense to that for some reason, and he pushed AJ Green with all his might, and AJ Green falls to the ground.
Again, Logan is having an impact on Omar. He said pushed him with all his might. That's straight out the storybook.
He got on one leg and was like, you know, with all his sassiness. So Mr. AJ Green,
Slade.
which, you know, I can understand it because I've snapped a couple times, as some people here can attest. He has snapped, and he jumped up, but all of a sudden, he turned into Fedor. I'm just trying to say this right. Emelianenko.
That's who we chose.
I chose the best one. Fedor is a great MMA fighter, but he's great at the takedown. He's great at his ground game. He jumped up and put him in a rear naked chokehold, took him down to the ground, and then what was more amazing was he decided to jump up and punch a helmet.
Right.
Now
that's when you know a brother is mad. When you punching a helmet,
his form was good though. His technique on the punch.
I would have said Ving Rhames and Baby Boy, but
hey, I get it. But first of all, if you're in full pads, why are you fighting? The whole point of full pads is so you can't get hurt while grown men who are 300 pounds are trying to kill you. So, one, Jalen Ramsey, why are you pushing this man? Because he was getting the flag anyway. The rest was right there.
Yeah.
AJ Green, you got up and acted like somebody tried to slap your daughter or something, and you tried to kill the man. And now the 2 best players on each team are ejected. Mm-hmm. And it was pure stupidity on both sides. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Sassy Voice started the shit, but AJ, he should have known better. He's an adult. So for that, we say, get the hell out of here with that bullshit.
get the hell out of here.
yeah, I say get the fuck out. But my
You
thing
brought
is,
up Logan.
I'm still in dad mode.
hey, he's showing growth.
Yeah.
Righteous O.
Righteous O.
Righteous O is here.
So is back.
Righteous O.
Righteous O from Maida Vale.
I'm sipping on that.
My thing is this though, AJ Green has been a cool cat throughout his career
He
so
wasn't
far.
cool Sunday.
So we don't know what was being said at the line of scrimmage. Because remember, Jalen had an issue with Steve Smith, who we know is a hothead, last year. So maybe he just had enough with the fuckboy shit.
That sounds about right. There's a lot of things. They call it an island for a reason. And I can attest. I can tell you.
Which means
there's a lot of stuff
which
that
means
goes
that
on
Jalen
out
did
there.
his job, though.
He did do exactly. He did do his job.
Yeah.
Hey, what got me
Absolutely.
about Jalen was after he pushed him, he turned his back and walked away like, he ain't gonna do shit to me.
And then he got fucking
And then he
Ving
got
Rhames choked.
and I think that's what he
Slade.
saw. Yeah, Slade.
I think AJ really misunderstood because he didn't realize that
He's
that was
6'4",
like
220?
no, he didn't realize that was like, you know, his version of flirting. So it was like, you know how with little boys.
Kenyon girls segment.
Fantasy. Let's
No,
get
we don't talk about
Rena.
that.
No,
Fantasy
game picks.
feedback, game picks. Before we get out of here, before they put us out of here, we've got number one, Seattle going against Arizona. Seattle completely. Every week, my parlay has been destroyed by an upset, and it never fails. Seattle comes out, shits the bed at home against Washington. They go Thursday night game, Arizona. Who you got, Redo?
Seattle.
Def.
I went Seattle as well. Bounce back game, and Arizona just sucks.
Okay. Adrian Peterson had 160 yards Sunday, Junior Blue.
That's what I was thinking about.
Seattle.
But that's why I was thinking about Seattle.
Kev?
Unanimous. Seattle Seahawks.
Well, hold on, wait.
He trying to
Wait,
jump.
his daddy's home, baby. I'm in the league. No, it's
This gonna be the one.
I'm taking Seattle. No, I'm taking. No.
We about to be tied.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Seattle. I don't. Yeah. Moving on. Probably the best game of the weekend. New Orleans Saints, as Kevin talked about earlier, going on the road to the Buffalo Bills. That's gonna be a cold game, folks. Probably
40,
rain.
43 degrees. And
43
raining.
degrees and raining. We know about dome teams, specifically Drew Brees, and the Bills are undefeated at home. I'm taking Buffalo. Junior Blue, who you got?
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Red
Buffalo
O.
at home.
Kev.
Circle that wagon.
Circle the wagons. Finally, in the Ophir Bowl. It was the Ophir Bowl, and then
Says you.
Denver happened. Yeah. We've got the New York Giants with our Brexit Bootbag winner going against the San Francisco 49ers, who did trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. He probably will not be playing. CJ Beathard is, who he absolutely got demo last week against Arizona.
They gonna stand him back up and do it.
Bruce Arians literally, he said, listen, man, CJ Beathard is a tough dude. He said, I don't know how he survived that game. But who you got, man? Kev.
I think Mr. McAdoo gives a better halftime speech, and the Giants win.
Red O.
I tell you, if there was a different quarterback, I would be going with San Francisco. But
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Giants.
I say fuck all that shit. I'm going with the 49ers because the Giants have quit.
Huh?
And because I said this a couple weeks ago on the show, so I'm just going to say that the 49ers are going to win.
Off.
I think he was thrown off by your aggression.
Yeah. I was just being, very strong.
I actually think it's gonna be a close game too. I think it'll be.
Bro.
It's not gonna be like it's the fucking Giants. They suck.
The Giants quit last week.
They did quit.
and the 49ers don't quit.
49ers have not quit yet.
They just
Their
have no
coach is
talent.
pretty good, and their GM is pretty good, by the way, too.
How are they going to...
Giants. They don't have enough talent.
I'm with you. I want to pick the Niners. And you
I
know
wanted
what?
to pick the bitches last week, but this is the week.
Why didn't you?
I don't see how they...
Damn.
I don't see how they scored. Like, even with this...
I don't see it either, Kenyon, but I'm going with it. I'm going with it.
gotta try to make
you see,
sense
you
of
see
it.
how strong? I'm saying it right now. I'm going with it.
Well, hey,
I don't see it either, Kenyon.
we're tied for first place. Let's pull up those picks, Rita. We're tied for first place. So since you picked the 49ers, I'm going to take the Giants. Because even with the Giants quitting, they did score 17 on the Rams. But I get it. I get it. Let's get out of
Did
here.
you see that coach? That motherfucker was.
I should have changed my pick to India. What I wanted to.
For real, you sure should.
Kev, give me some fantasy recommendations, please.
I got Killer Cam Newton Monday night against Miami, Le'Veon Bell against the Chargers, and Julio Jones gets his second touchdown of the year against the Cowboys.
Red O.
Stafford against the Browns, Le'Veon and Antonio against that horrible Colts defense.
Matthew Stafford versus the Browns.
Run that one back.
Antonio Brown versus Indy. And for my flex, I thought long and hard about this. Oh, shit. Leonard Fournette is going to come back angry from the
Against
suspension.
the Rams?
No, he's
Or
playing
the Chargers.
They're
Yeah.
playing the Chargers.
Okay. Junior Blue.
Matthew Stafford. Jordan Howard versus Green Bay.
I almost picked him.
And Le'Veon Bell versus the Colts.
It's some mix of everything that they got. Basically, take Matthew Stafford, take all of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you will do well in fantasy this week. This has been 32 Kings Road. We thank you for visiting with us. Please follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Visit our website, theleagueam.com. Check out our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. Also, shout out to Chief Diplomat Nick Blackman, Diplomatic Immunity. Please, if you got something to say, right on our blog spot, which is located on our website. And we will see you next week. Cheerio.
Nick, fix your Wi-Fi. Stop texting me 100 times.
Jalen, just be a man and tell him how you really feel.
7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. He ESPN. Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but what he did, what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, L Dad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in.